No, you're not looking at an old Tarmac SL6 with disc brakes. This is a new bike from Specialized. This is the Aethos. It's a lightweight climbing bike, and here are my thoughts about what it brings to the party. Now obviously this is a plant, it's not the Specialized Aethos. We went to ride it, they didn't have a bike for me to take away. As you guys know, I only ride Dura Ace. They didn't have a Dura Ace bike at the time, so they will be sending one in for a full review when one becomes available. Hopefully that will be at the end of this week. So the lack of actual bike beside me aside, it is nice to see a brand focusing on building a bike that isn't focused on racing. It takes no cues from the pro peloton. It's got nothing on it that a racer would really want. It's nice to see Specialized going away from that. We've seen a general trend in the industry that favours normal riders like you and I. So gravel bikes are general do-it-all bikes, they're great. Wider tyres, disc brakes, these are all great features for the average cyclist. So it's nice to see a performance road bike really going along those lines. This bike really isn't for racing. Specialized say that they won't be giving it to their pro racers. They still have the SL7 and the Venge, well they do for now. The SL7 can be built down to 6.8 kg for the UCI's minimum weight, that archaic rule. And yeah, they won't be giving this to their pro riders, so the likes of Alaphilippe, they'll miss out. Which is fine for us, you know. I'm sure if Alaphilippe did get his hands on one and brought it up to the UCI's minimum weight limit, he could probably win on it. Now, the tube shapes on this bike, they might look round, and to be honest, when I've seen it in the flesh, they are quite round. Specialized does say that they aren't quite round. What they say is, and I have to refer to my notes I'm afraid, Specialized says that their engineers studied the flexing and breathing of carbon frames in the pedalling test rig, and they realised the industry's understanding of how forces flow through a frame was incomplete and ripe for massive improvements. They use staggeringly large supercomputer simulations, more than any human can do in a lifetime, to subtly alter round tube shapes, and honestly it is so subtle I couldn't even get a shot of it on our camera. This apparently made the shape more conical in key areas to deliver huge gains in stiffness and balance with the minimum amount of material. Now, to be fair, having ridden the bike just once, I can't really give an objective opinion on this, but I did find on my first ride that, you know, the weight is obvious, that is incredibly low. The handling seemed very good. Again, I'll reserve judgment for, you know, a month down the line of riding. And yeah, the stiffness, again, need a bit more time. We need to get that into the really steep climbs before we give a good judgment on that. But yes, everything seems to be correct in what they're saying. The headline feature really is that low weight at 5.9 kg. This is a seriously light bike, especially when you consider the build. There's nothing finicky here. There's no hill climb parts that you'd usually find on, you know, those real weight weenie bikes. It's a disc brake bike. It's got a full double 2x11 group set with the Dura Race. Yeah, it's just a normal build. The saddle is normal. The bars aren't especially, you know, weight weenie. There's no tiny torque tolerances anywhere. So for that kind of build, it's very impressive. And if you're looking at this and thinking, oh, I could buy that as a hill climb bike, well, good news. You can make this even lighter. If you then go and buy those stupidly light components, well, you've got yourself possibly the ultimate hill climb bike. Now, Specialized says that they tested this bike on one of their famous rides through the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's an 80-mile ride with 7,000 foot of climbing. Yeah, we couldn't test that in Solihull on our 40-kilometre loop. So once the bike comes back here to the Mendips, I will certainly be pointing it straight up the steepest climbs that I can in the area, and we'll really test out whether that weight saving and the stiffness really comes to play on the steeper climbs. Now, speaking of home roads, you may have heard me moaning continuously about the road surface around where I live. It really is shocking, it's really abrasive, and we'll certainly be testing how that road surface affects such a lightweight and stiff bike. When there's that kind of focus on the lightest and stiffest combination, it can bring a touch of harshness into a carbon frame, so we will really look to see how that affects it. I have to say that one of the easiest ways to change the comfort on your bike is to put wider tyres on and run those tyres at lower pressures. The Specialized Aethos comes with 32mm tyre clearance. You know, you can fit a 32mm tyre, Specialized say, on a 21mm internal rim, and you'll still have 4mm the whole way around the tyre. That's an easy way to ensure that the bike is comfortable, so we'll definitely test the bike with a few different tyre sizes just to make sure that Specialized isn't hiding a very stiff frame behind some very wide tyres. I have to say, on the ride we did in Solihull, the bike came fitted with the turbo cotton in the 26mm width. They'll balloon out on the rims that they had, the Alpinist rims, to about 27mm, but it's still a good balance for a race tyre, and I have to say the roads were kind of a mix between good roads and some quite awful surfaces, and the Aethos really did quite well. Now, if you think that 32mm tyre clearance is a sensible feature, then good news, there are more sensible features on this bike. First up, we've got a threaded bottom bracket, which I personally love to see even on a high performance road bike. I know that press fit is a great system if it works. The problem is when it doesn't work, it's a real nightmare. There seems to be no cure for that bottom bracket creak. So personally, I'm very pleased to see a nice, simple to use threaded system on this bike. We've also got a 27.2mm seat post. Now, the highest end model, which is the limited edition collector's edition bike, there's only 300 of them, that comes with the Alpinist seat post, and so do the Dura Ace and SRAM Red models that we've been testing for that day in Solihull, and we will have on test. If you want to go away from that seat post for fit issues or anything you personal preference, you can. It's quite a common size, 27.2, so that gives you loads of options. Now, if the build is simplified and sensible, then the price, I'm afraid, really isn't. The collector's edition that I just mentioned, that's limited to 300, is £13,000. That's 22,000 Australian dollars. So sorry, Australia. And the Dura Ace model that I will have on test, like the SRAM Red E-Tap model that I rode in Solihull, well, that's 10,750 quid. Certainly a premium product. If you've got deep enough pockets, then this is going to definitely be one to look at. Now, like I touched on just a bit earlier, the bike that I had in Birmingham and I will have in the Mendips back here doesn't really feature anything stupid. The saddle is an S-Works Power. The wheels are the new Alpinist CLX. The bar is an S-Works bar, although you can get the Alpinist kind of bar stem integrated combo on the collector's edition. There's nothing here that screams crazy weight weenie hill climb bike. So, like I said, That is good for two reasons. One, it means that your bike isn't going to suddenly smash into tiny pieces because you put 1 Newton meter too much torque on a bolt. And then the other reason is that you can go lighter. If you want to use those components, you've got your torque wrench ready, you can certainly make this lighter and build a crazy light road disc brake bike. Now, as you know, I like to end on a positive note, and for me the paintwork here really is quite nice, and it represents something that I think is perfect for this type of bike. It's not going to be a pro bike, so it doesn't need to advertise that it's an S-Works or, you know, a Trek or a Cannondale. It doesn't need to do that, this type of bike. So what Specialized have done here, they've put a very small S-Works logo on the top tube. You've got the S on the head tube, and I think that looks great. The colours are quite subtle. There's an unpainted one for all you custom lovers out there. It's an unpainted frame, so you can then go and get that painted up however you like without voiding the warranty. That's a really nice touch from Specialized. It's something quite simple. It also means that if you're a real weight weenie, you've got one of the lightest options available to you out of the box. The paint that I had on the one in Birmingham, well, that one featured a very small top tube logo, and it actually reminded me of the old Cannondale custom Super 6s that I used to see people getting sprayed up themselves. I really liked those bikes. They were very simple, very clean, and I think this is a very elegant paint job. So I will be riding the Aethos for as long as the weather holds, really. I've got a few hill climbs lined up for the test period, but I want to know what you guys think. Is this kind of bike something that you're interested in? What do you think about the kind of concept of designing a performance road bike without any consideration to racers? Personally, I think it's a great thing because it fits more of the people that Specialized are actually going to be selling it to. But yes, what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Obviously, give this a like if you liked it, and subscribe for more, and remember to check out the site for the full review in about a month or so.